Hey guys, Mike here. So another green day in the market, which probably surprises a lot of people. We'll go over what caused that and everything. Also, where you saw money flowing at coming into this week, which I don't think it should be much of a surprise. I'm curious to know if you're allocating funds towards this area as well. And we'll also talk about a pattern you're seeing pretty much across the board. And this pattern means indecisiveness, right? You might have noticed it on a lot of major indexes, a lot of major stocks. We're going to talk about that, as well as update a few other stocks that have just been hammered and beat down. But we can start with the information we got, and you can see PPI actually came in as is and a little tad bit over, but nothing to really write home about. And then of course you had unemployment claims. They came in a little higher than expected, and the market sold off, right out of the gate, which you kind of figure would happen in that. But of course, once again, what do you get? Oof, big move back up, right? Which probably caught a lot of people off guard. And I was gonna get your input real quick before you hit the charts and stuff and say, how much money are you putting into bonds? Because last week, billions were flowing into bonds and flowing out of big tech, mid cap, small caps. Consumer cyclicals got absolutely just decimated. Like 5 billion flowed out of that. So definitely people are, setting up for the rate cuts and for rates to start coming down, which should be good for bonds, especially like TLT and things like that. Just kind of curious. Now, the one thing you're seeing a lot of is symmetrical triangles, right? Which means a lot of indecision marked by lower highs and higher lows. And you're seeing those on some major indexes. A lot of major stocks are happening. And it could be because obviously we're in September, October. It could be the fact we have a rate cut coming out. It could be the fact we have an FOMC meeting next week and a huge quarterly OPEX as well, right? And so what you're really just trying to do is wait to see which way it breaks, right? You can try to be a hero if you want to, but when you look here, you'll see it plain as day. Look at the Qs, right? We talked about this. This is what matters, right? Is it going to come up here and get rejected, or is it going to go ahead and start to break out, right? When it comes to Qs, like I said in the Discord, it's about that 50 moving average a day. And I'll tell you why in a second, but it did close above the 50 moving average. But when you look at this, you can see it. I was watching it all morning long. It's just tapping the 50, tapping the 50, tapping the 50. And then finally, we get this false breakout, as you can see right here. And then about right after lunch, right there, full candle close above, big explosive move up. And then we get the retest. I mean, it was a quick move down. I was about to go pick my son up at school right here because it was raining cats and dogs. And boom, tapped it to the penny and bounced and went back up very quickly. And when I say a quick move down, I mean, I'm talking about a quick move down. 0.60% on the 1 minute candle was like 0.45%, like 1 minute. And so it was a really quick pull down, as you can see right here's the 1 minute candle. Boom, tagged it, shot right back up. All right, so, the volatility is absolutely craziness. But again, once you start running to resistance, you moved up all day, you got to come down and form a liquidity grab. That's just the way it's got to be. And when you look over here at the QQEW again, you can plainly see all you're waiting to see which way this thing's going to break. Okay, you got weekly OPEX tomorrow. Okay, look at IWM. Here's another one. Right, sitting here going, what's going to happen? What's going to happen, George? Which way did it go? And this one got rejected at the 50. Okay, and keep in mind, we could see, the QQEW break the upside, IWM break down, or vice versa, depending on. I'm very curious to see, as I was telling members, how this rate cut is going to go next week, and how, which index is going to react which rate, because we really hadn't seen a normal rate hiking cycle where they're just lowering down slowly versus just cutting because some catastrophes happen, right? And they're cutting to zero. The other thing is there's been a lot of calls bought up the last few days on the Qs especially. And so I want to see if they're going to get paid out as well. But this is another one just sitting there waiting, like, which way are we going to go? And that's what we're going to have to wait and see, probably into next week during FOMC for sure. But when you also look over here, here's another one, QQEW. Look at this right here. About the same distance to get there as the QQQs almost. So again, is it going to get rejected or not? Is it going to break out? And if it, obviously, whichever way it breaks, it's going to take the Qs with it because it go to all-time highs. I'm not saying we are anytime soon, but if we are on the S&P, which is only 1.5% away, you're going to have these equal weight ETFs to get up there now, right? And as I tell members, 68% of stocks are still above their 6-month moving average in an uptrend. All right, and the stock market likes to go up more than down, but we're just in this uncertain time right now. Now, when you look at NVIDIA, same way, right? This one's having lower highs, higher lows, but today it broke above the 50 and closed. We got a full candle body close, like I said yesterday, above the 21 EMA, which in the past, over the recent year or two, has signified a continuation in the coming days to continue to move up, and it is a highly weighted stock. You can see right there, moving up. But again, it's got that trend line right there above it, right, which is highly respected. You can see how many times it's bounced off of it. But again, this is another one just being wedged in, okay? But usually you get that candle close above, and that signifies more. And of course, looking back here, it doesn't even matter because it's just going parabolic. But you know, this one respects this 50 moving average. It definitely respects the 21 EMA. When it dropped below, that is not good. So just watch for it to maintain that, especially if the 21 EMA crosses the 50. That's a big thing right there for sure. And so we'll wait and see, because again, this is pretty much all that matters, this formation right here. And so let me know in the comments what you think. If it's going to wait till FOMC to start seeing, you know, which ways these are going to break or not. Now you look at Amazon, everybody's watching 188, really 187.90 to 190 itself to break. And I told you, a lot of people have been betting on this one. This one did break out to the upside. And when we look at the moving averages, it's above all its moving averages currently. And I'll pull those up. But if this one can break up, it's probably going to move pretty quickly. Okay. And so you can see there's the moving averages. Again, it's above all of those right there. And the reason why it can move up pretty quickly if it gets through that level is if we actually end up, I'm going to bring up stochastic, because stochastic is obviously on the daily, and we go to the weekly. Momentum is in its favor. On the weekly, you definitely want to get above the 50 right there. You can see it got rejected before to really continue up. But in the short term, the daily is where you would like to see it if this continues. And then we pull up a volume profile. You can see very clearly that if it can break above this level, Y can move very quickly, because there's really just no resistance up there. It is at resistance now. And so if it breaks above this level right here, as you can see when we pull this in, it can clearly shoot right through that volume gap to get to like 192. And then from there, it'll have to grind its way the rest of the way, most likely, or have some kind of news event. But, you know, again, we'll watch this one closely. Another one's going to be Google. A lot of people talking about this one because when you look at it, it's been beaten down. It's one of the most beaten down of the Max 7 for sure. Getting no love, but what happens? It comes in that volume node right there, and there's not much resistance above it, as you can see. So it's coming into a support area. It's coming into where the volume profile says, oh yeah, this can definitely move up. But again, it's below the 200, which is not good. But also, when you look at this one right here, if you pull a fib up on this one, it came down and it hit the golden pocket. And it started to bounce ever since. And you can see like all the volume gaps in here, right? So that's something people are looking at. So this one could move fast. Now, Tesla's guilty until proven innocent, still in this rising wedge right here. Again, probably heading to 135 just because it's in that volume pocket we've talked about so many times. But when you get there, all of a sudden you see a boatload of resistance. So that's going to be a tough sledding to get through once it gets above 135, if it does. Now, why is everything green? I'm going to track this for us for sure. I don't talk about it every day. But when this is red, this is the dollar versus Japan, right? So this is that kind of carry trade type stuff. I don't expect this to be a real double top, but when this is red, most likely the market's either sideways or green. And when this is green, most likely the markets are sideways or down, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, looking at the futures, I tell everybody, I'll talk about this more in Saturday's video, but what it did was it just drove up. It just kept bouncing on this trend line all day and just rode it up. That's where they left us for the day. The reason I'm pointing this out is because if that trend line breaks overnight or tomorrow, then you could see a nice pullback. Don't mean we're going to have a V-shaped recovery. But what I mean by this, I just wanted to show you something. So if you look over here, I never used trend lines on futures before. Let me know if you do. But I've recently started using them when I look at it now because, you know, when these break, I don't know, especially on the futures chart, man, you see some quick displacements down. I mean, quick displacements. And so, you know, you can see this one rode up for almost a day and a half right here. And when it finally broke, just from the trend line on down, that is over 1%. It was way more than that when you look at what the original was. Then this one right here was from the 30th to the 3rd of September, right? And it kept bouncing, but boy, when it broke finally, man, that is a massive fall. It's over 3%. And so I'm definitely going to be watching this trend line tomorrow and overnight to see if it breaks or not. Don't mean it has to, right? It can continue to move up, but just FYI on that one, it's kind of showing it to you. Now, looking at some stocks that have been beaten down, and they're kind of looking all the same here. V-shaped recovery for Lulu right here. 1 hour chokes to the upside, a change of character. Disney looks like an identical chart. Same thing right here. I'm not saying these are the bottoms for these, but these are those beaten down stocks, right? You can see there's a Chipotle right here, you know, moving up strong as well. And then we look at him, you can see this one right here is the same thing, but very important. It's coming up to this trend line right here, which was support for over a year. Now it's rejecting. So again, it has a breakthrough. If it does, probably explosive move to the upside. If not, see you later. And then Roblox, of course, we'll look at this one because this one's interesting. I'll keep you updated because it's fascinating me. It's still in stage 1. But it's now above, it's closed above, full candle, above the yearly, monthly, weekly open, the all-time high anchored VWAP. But here's the thing, 46.98, somewhere in there, is a price. It has not been above going back to 2022, okay? And so that is where you got to get above now. That is a target about 3% above this. If it can finally break above that after being rejected for 2 years now, then you know, you're pretty much in the clear on that one. You might actually get out of stage 1 for a while, but it's just amazing how many stocks are out of stage 1, especially anything to do with tech, and this one is not. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on all of these and stuff. Let me know what you think down at the bottom. Again, tomorrow's OPEX, so there'll be some funky stuff going on. It may just be a nothing burger because there's no news or no earnings to worry about, okay? So please hit that like and subscribe button on the way out as usual. Feel free to sign up for the membership, get the daily news brief, 2 private videos a week, and you get the Discord and stuff. So anyway, let me know if you got any questions for Saturday's video. Put those in the bottom, and I'll see you guys later.